Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Memorial Day 2022. We are now able to have a parade again after a hiatus of several years. It certainly is a beautiful day, lovely day for the parade. It will be interesting to see how many people remember there is a parade today, with it because of COVID not having a parade. I think some people perhaps have gotten out of the routine of coming, but from my vantage point, sitting here in the municipal building, there are some people starting to line up along the streets, and we have seen some participants going up to get lined up. Today's parade has been put together. There are about 4 units that hopefully will be participating. This is always, and I do have to always give a disclaimer. Both myself and my former partner in crime that did this with me for many, many years, Larry Volkert. Larry unfortunately didn't feel well enough to be here this year, so we do a shout to him and hope he feels better. But the 4 units are comprised of different groups in the participatory setting, and I will do my best to announce what they are, and if for some reason I miss or don't know, well, that will be another piece of new information. Historically, Memorial Day was originally called Decoration Day. It's a day of remembrance for those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and have died in our nation's service. There are many, many stories as to its actual beginnings, and there are over 24 cities and towns which lay claim to being the birthplace of Memorial Day. There's also substantial evidence that organized women's groups in the South were decorating graves before the end of the Civil War. This was most evident in a hymn that was written by Nella Sweet, published in 1867, entitled "Kneel Where Our Loves Are Sleeping." The hymn carries an inscription and a dedication to the ladies of the South who are decorating the graves of the Confederate dead. The source of this, if you wanted to research it, can be found at Duke University in their historic American sheet music library, dated approximately 1850 to 1920. Memorial Day, Decoration Day, a day when the nation decorates the graves of the war dead with flowers, was officially proclaimed on May 5th, 1868, by Major General John A. Logan, who was the national commander of the Grand Army of the Republic. This was in his General Order number 11. The proclamation reads, and I quote, "The 30th of May, 1868, is designated for the purposes of strewing flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, hamlet, churchyard in the land." In this observation, there is no form of ceremony prescribed, but posts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. Unquote. The first formal celebration of Memorial Day was held May 30th, 1868 at Arlington National Cemetery. There were over 5,000 persons attending, including such notables as General James Garfield and General and Mrs. Ulysses S. Grant. The first state to officially recognize this holiday was New York, 1863, and by 1890, almost all northern states recognized this day. By the end of the 19th century, Memorial Day celebrations were being held on May 30th throughout the country. State legislators passed proclamations designating the day, and the Army and Navy adopted regulations for proper observance at all of their facilities. Congress passed the National Holiday Act in 1971, which ensured a 3-day weekend for federal holidays. It was at this time that Memorial Day was designated as a national holiday. Many southern states also have their own days for honoring the Confederate war dead. January 19th was Texas, April 26th, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, May 10th, South Carolina, June 3rd, Louisiana, Tennessee. In May of 1966, Congress and President Lyndon Baines Johnson declared Waterloo, New York, as the birthplace of Memorial Day. On May 5th, 1866, it was reported that Waterloo had an all-town grand celebration honoring local soldiers and sailors who had fought in the Civil War, and interestingly, this has been continued ever since. Today, the graves of servicemen and women are honored not just with flowers, but with American flags. Let's remember the purpose of today, the tribute that we give to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in defense of all of us and our country. We can go back in history, and even so far back as Pericles, who was the Athenian leader, offered to the fallen heroes of the Peloponnesian War over 24 centuries ago, quote, "Not only are they commemorated by columns and inscriptions, but there dwells also an unwritten memorial of them, graven not on stone, but in the hearts of all men," unquote. So this has gone on for centuries as far as remembering the dead. Today, again, we are here with a parade. I don't know if there will be a ceremony at the monument, which sometimes there are. We all, including the MCTV group that are hosting this on television, and I thank them all for their work on bringing this to many of you. One of the things that is now being done is the sense we're trying to figure out whether or not there will be the ceremony at the monument that there has been in the past. If there is, certainly MCTV will be covering it. If not, well, hopefully by next year everything will be back to full tilt. Another piece of information that occurs today is taps that you will hear. Many times you will hear taps played at funeral services of soldiers. And taps is perhaps one of the short little pieces of music that bring such thought, memory, and emotion to the surface. There's only 24 notes in this little piece. It was thought to originally have been a revision of a French bugle signal called a tattoo, which notified soldiers that they were to cease their evening's activities and return to the barracks or garrisons. Today, this small little piece of music was conceived by the Union General Daniel Adams Butterfield. And it was near Richmond, Virginia, but it was lights out. And General Butterfield decided that the lights out was too formal, and he changed the setting of this to where today it's a much smaller piece of music, but it evokes the closure of a person's life in honor. Protocol dictates the playing of taps on Memorial Day at 3 o'clock. Protocol also dictates that at a funeral or at a burial, when taps is played, one should stand. You place your hand over your heart, or if you are of military, to salute. It is a piece of music that today we will hear later in today's celebrations. One must remember that all of this day's activities is in recognition of casualties that were lost. For example, if we go all the way back to Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, the U.S. military deaths was 4,435. Plus, the U.S. had wounded soldiers almost 6,200. Throughout all of the different wars that the United States has been involved in, statistics have been kept. For example, World War II, which was 1941 to 1945, U.S. military deaths, 405,399. U.S. wounded, 671,000. Vietnam, U.S. military deaths, 58,220. This was from the years 1965 through 1975. The U.S. wounded, 153,303. And we come up through today's standards that of so many wars, if we can loosely use that term, or skirmishes, or, for example, involvements. The war on terrorism, Operation Enduring Freedom, sometimes referred to Operation Freedom's Sentinel, or Operation Resolute Support. 2001 to present day. U.S. military deaths, as of about 2016, 2,355. We keep going through today and we watch how many are losing their lives around the world. We see the present war raging, and we only can understand from the standpoint of how we feel in this country. What would it be if all of a sudden we, as Americans, were in another major war? Those are just some of the statistics. I think it's fascinating many times that we reflect upon that and we think about why we do the celebrations today. It's more than just getting out and having a barbecue and having friends. We should also be contemplating the fact of how many have given us the freedom of being able to do that. I was able to do a little bit of research, and in today's parade, and I'll try to make announcement of it, you will see a lot of fire equipment, ambulance equipment, police cruisers, sheriff's department. But I did want to bring to just your knowledge that in today, the Middlebury Fire Department will be having as one of their pieces of equipment their brand new truck, their brand new pumper that just went into usage 2 weeks ago. It was just purchased. It was a Rosenbauer pumper. It's got a 1,000-gallon tank, but one of the things that's most unique is that it has a light tower of 112,000 lumens, which has now become a necessity when firemen are in an evening fire. Also, you will see the 2018 ladder truck, which is able to reach about 111 feet. Both of these trucks were purchased by the town's fire equipment replacement plan. Middlebury Fire Department presently has 39 members on their roster, and they certainly have openings for more, as do all of our local fire departments. One of the things that we need to remember is these are all volunteers, and they are struggling to have enough members. Therefore, let me mention to you that if any of you have any interest in joining these fire departments, please get in touch with them. Please get in touch with your local fire chief and find out what is necessary for you to become a member. Because without you, some of these fire departments, and we've seen it now in the state of Vermont already, that are having to close. Same thing sort of holds true for the ambulance service. The ambulance is certainly a little different than it was many, many years ago. The ambulance service here that services it's either 10 or 12 communities, towns, used to be all volunteer, and now it's a paid organization. But again, is always looking for new people to become part of this. The ambulance started way back in the 1960s, and it was all volunteer. And as a result, today it is comprised of many, many people who give of their time and certainly devotedly have the best interest of the community at heart. They're a professional organization, professional equipment, professionally trained. We certainly are indeed very, very blessed beyond measure that we have an ambulance crew at our disposal 24/7, 365. Also, one of the organizational bands that's participating today will be the Middlebury Union High School, and their band director, Rob DeBruin, told me that they will be performing the song Take On Me, which is arranged by Tim Waters, as they process through the streets. We'll also be having some floats made by different organizations, and as well as the area fire departments will have people in it. The Shriners also will be honoring this parade, as they have for many, many, many years. And I think we'll all be in store for the treat of watching them not just come through town, but with their little vehicles, those little mini monsters that I think every child that's at a parade wants to have one. There'll also be dignitaries in this parade. For example, we should be having the Lieutenant Governor, Molly Gray, and there'll be candidates that are running for different offices, so I will do my best, if I can see them, to be able to at least announce who they are and perhaps what they are running for. One of the other customs that Memorial Day used to have was that the flags flew at half-staff, and then at sunset they would be taken down, but somewhere around 3 o'clock they would be raised to full staff. That's not necessarily used today, and as all of you are well aware, we now have flags flying at half-staff most of the time for many of the tragedies that are occurring throughout our country, most recently because of the shooting of the school children and their teachers in Texas. So again, although Memorial Day is for our fallen war dead, let's also keep them in mind, because they gave their life and certainly didn't expect that anything like that was ever going to happen. But when you speak to law enforcement agencies all over the state or all over the country, this is a different world that we now live in. And therefore, preparation of these kind of senseless events have to now be dealt with. So we honor the memory of those individuals, children, adults that have lost their lives. Well, as we look around, and in your screen you can see that there are a few more people that are out there as I'm sitting in the front window of the municipal building. There are more people that are arriving and certainly taking advantage of a nice day. And as the parade comes down South Main Street, from my vantage point, I can't see it yet, but can sort of hear a few of the sirens signaling that something must be going on. Today's parade marshal will be Middlebury College's president, Lori Patton. And I will announce as she goes by about the car that she will be riding in, as well as any of the other dignitaries as they come by. Every community observes Memorial Day a little differently. One of our sister communities here in Addison County, Virgins, they are hosting a large parade starting at 11 o'clock today. And so for any of you that couldn't make this one in Middlebury, certainly you would have time to race up to Virgins and make that one. One of the things that does occur is that in military cemeteries today, they do have formal receptions and formal ceremonies for the fallen dead. We have one in Vermont. It's in Randolph, a military cemetery, and they would have taps. They probably would have the 21-gun salute, as well as perhaps prayers and speakers that would occur. Certainly in Arlington and at other military cemeteries around the country. And I believe there are a total of 14 cemeteries which are militarily based, and so therefore they would all have exact protocols on how to have today's ceremonies. Well, as we're waiting for the start of this, more and more people are arriving, and certainly it's fun to watch a parade through the eyes of little ones, you know, because they get excited and they're energetic. And I think for many, they probably are anticipating that on some of these organizations, well, candy gets thrown or flowers get strewn to them, or all sorts of other little toy kind of things that are thrown by certain organizations. And I think for many kids, they love doing that. Again, while we have a few moments, I would like to offer appreciation to all of the organizations that take part in this. This year, because of COVID, many organizations were perhaps a little slower to say, yes, we'll participate, waiting to see if we would be able to have a parade. And within their own organizations, whether or not they would be able to participate, again, because of COVID. And so to see what's come this year will be a treat. And it certainly is indicative that perhaps we have turned the corner and after a 2.5-year hiatus, that we now perhaps can return to some form of normality. MCTV, again, in honor of an individual, Dick Thodall, who for many, many years was the head of MCTV and unfortunately passed this last year. I wish to extend from this community appreciation, sympathies to his family, but appreciation moreover for the job that that man did. He was a veteran, he served his country, he served his community, he served his state, and I wish to acknowledge that. And MCTV is by far a much finer organization today because of everything that he did for them. And again, if any of you are interested in working at MCTV or volunteering or helping, I am certain that you contact them. Kurt Broderson is the head of MCTV now, I believe. And if you contact him, I am certain that they have open arms of letting people volunteer to help. Well, we're starting to at least see some flashing lights that are coming in, and you can see it sort of at the left side of your screen, and which should at least signify that the start of the parade is approaching. And since they built a new roundabout, it's always sort of now fun that which side are they going to go around. And the length of some of the equipment that used to be coming down through was always a challenge. And so many times they sort of had to go over the middle. But this year, right in the middle, we have lights and construction equipment due to the fact of some of the recent construction that's been going on up in the park and across by the Middlebury Inn. It takes a lot of organization to put together a parade, and if Larry Volkert was here today, Larry ran the parade for many, many, many years. And I remember distinctly having Larry discussing with me that it would be anywhere from a year to certainly 9 or 10 months that he would have to start ahead of time, lining up groups, lining up people. So for this year, I compliment those individuals that are members of the Legion and the VFW and all of the other organizations that are taking part. I'm sure they were all holding their breath to see if we could do this year. And so to put all of this together in a very short period of time, congratulations and success. An interesting little tidbit of Memorial Day trivia was that many, many, many years ago, and in fact I can remember as a child that this was happening, so I know we're back to at least 3 centuries ago, poppies were given out on Memorial Day, red poppies. And it was inspired by a poem called In Flanders Field by Moana Michael. And the poem went, "We cherish too the poppy red that grows on fields where valor led. It seems to signal to the skies that blood of heroes never dies." She conceived the idea of wearing red poppies on Memorial Day in honor of those who died serving the nation. A woman from France by the name of Madame Guettet visited the U.S. and saw the success of this poppy program. She returned to France and sold poppies for the war-orphaned children and women. And this custom lasted for a number of decades. It no longer really exists today, but again, it was a custom that people started that gave significance and gave meaning to why we do what we do today. Well, again, you'll see it somewhat on the left corner of your screen. We start to see a few more flashing lights, and we can sort of hear a little bit more of the sirens. And police cruisers now have blocked off the streets so that the parade can pass through. I always wonder what visitors that don't know what the schedule is of a parade, what they must think when they drive into Middlebury or any other community and the main streets have to be closed down for the length of a parade. But hopefully they'll know that it's all in a memorial of those individuals that have given us the right to be able to celebrate today. And again, as you can see it through your camera, there are more and more people. And as I'm looking across the street at Cannon Park now has a substantial number of people sitting in it, as well as along both sides of the street. And it's great to see. I think everyone is happy. Certainly there's a ton of smiles, and kids are excited. And there are some people that are racing, obviously, to join the parade that were supposed to be lined up, but that happens every year. So they may join as the parade gets a little closer. Well, we hear the siren of something, and so it obviously is getting closer. And here's one of the situations that exists in a small community. That's one of our local ambulances that obviously is transporting somebody to the hospital. And over the years, we've seen it happen time and time again where an emergency equipment piece will have to get through. Their job is to save a person's life and to deal with the situation at hand. So fortunately, everybody can move to the side or move out of the way, and it allows the ambulance to move forward. And it probably delays the tempo of the parade by a few minutes, but certainly nothing too aggravating. One of the other organizations that I would like to recognize for their dedication to the honoring of our war dead is the Rotary Club. For all of you that come down through Main Street in Cannon Park, you'll see a display of tons of flags, as well as in the park across from the Middlebury Inn and in other locations around town. You'll see flags in front of homes and businesses. It's sponsored by the Rotary Club. And there are plaques that are on all of these flagpoles, and it identifies the individual veterans. And again, and I'm not saying this as a plug for that organization, but if any of you are interested in having your family's war veterans recognized, please contact the Rotary Club, and I'm sure that they would be very happy to work with you in terms of getting your family's veterans' names on a flag or flagpole. Well, I'm sure you're hearing it, I'm hearing it, that the sirens are getting closer, and it's not bad. They started at 9 o'clock, and here it is only 25 after, and they still haven't made it yet. So I guess they're not in a hurry. But you start to hear the band. But the fun part of this is watching the reaction of the children. You can see it in their body motion. They start to get excited when they start to hear the sirens, or they start to hear the bands or the drums. And it's fun to watch. One of the things, and we'll have to watch for it this year, has always been the inclusion of the Hockey Association with their Zamboni. So we'll see this year. It's always been sort of humorous to think that here you have a machine that takes care of ice with 80-degree temperatures, but that's good. So we can celebrate many different seasons all within the span of a few minutes. One of the other aspects of Memorial Day that organizations are in need of help on are the fact of having extra hands to put the small flags in the cemeteries of the veterans. It's getting harder and harder to find enough people that are willing to take the time out of their life and to go and work with the VFW and Legion to put these flags. So again, if you're interested in helping on that kind of memorial celebration, please contact the VFW or the Legion, the American Legion, and find out how you might be of service. Well, the parade is now in the circle, and it's led by Middlebury Police Department Cruiser, and it's driven by Officer Kevin Emilio. And I think it's as fun for them as it is for us. So as it comes around the corner, people start waving, and certainly forms of appreciation. The Middlebury PD, an organization that again gives this community exemplary service 24/7, 365. And many times are short-staffed. Unfortunately, we've all seen over the last 2.5 years a lot of jobs that are no longer filled. And the police department is no exception to that rule. So our compliments to every one of those officers that give of themselves faithfully so that we're safe. I'm going to make a presumption that in the front seat of the cruiser is probably Kevin's son, and who seems to be enjoying the whole thing, waving at people. The police cruiser is followed by Addison County Sheriff Peter Newton. They all seem to be having a good time. And then the Color Guard, the American Legion Honor Guard. It's led this year by Michelle Sullivan. And as you face it, on the left-hand side is a gentleman that has been part of this organization for many, many years, Joe DeGray. But we thank them all for their service to our country, to our community, to our state, and for their participation. It's followed by it's called the POW MIA, Missing in Action, Missing Man Chair. It's driven by Richard Prouty. These are it's a symbolism of they are not forgotten. And you'll see the MIA chair is covered by the MIA flag. Very important for us to remember of how many service men and women are still missing in action. It's followed by one of the MREM's, Middlebury Regional EMS ambulances. This is one of the newer ones. Over the last several years, they've been able to raise enough money that we can keep a fleet going. Again, so that we have 24 hours, 7 day a week, comprehensive EMS service. It's followed by post number 27, an auxiliary of the American Legion. You will see that this year they have a float festooned with flowers and walking. This is the auxiliary of post 27. The women that have given, again, so much. And the color guard of that, led by Marcy DeGray. And again, the women and men have given so much that we can have so much. Now, making the corner was the parade marshal, Middlebury College President Lori Platt. And this is driven in a 1952 Cadillac. It's driven by John Emerson, retired professor at the college. John's passion is in this car. A gorgeous 1952 Cadillac. One year, Lori's large white dog was also in the back. This year it's not there. But what a wonderful way for our college president to participate. By the Middlebury Union Band, Middlebury Union High School Band, and again, just to remind you, this is directed by Rob DeBruin, and the piece that they play is Take On Me. The Tiger Band this year, large in size. eyes. Uniforms that are just absolutely sparkling, and great sound, great precision. Certainly are doing a wonderful job. Congratulations, Rob, for you and your band. Great to see that many young people participating, since music was one of those things that sort of had to come to a hiatus during this COVID. So it's great to see that we're back now to live music. It's also fun to watch people as the band is marching, playing, with the drums keeping a very strict metronomic beat. How many people start tapping their feet with it? Now, coming around the corner in a red convertible is Mrs. Vermont, Kimberly Wells Garrett, and Miss Vermont for America Strong 2022, Lisa Lee. With their tiaras. And certainly the convertible is with many, many colors on it. It's followed by something that is called the MUHS Best Buddies. And Trailer Katie Fenster is one of them that is in charge of this. And the walkers, you know, it's a Best Buddy program. And you can see that all of these young people love to be buddies with other students, and they speak of friendship. And as on the side of the truck, I don't know if you can see it, but it says spread love, friendship. So again, great to see young people actively participating in this. The next is an organization that has been part of this parade for a long time, the Addison County Readers. And they pass out books to people, actively promote the fact of reading and the importance of literary works. Again, they've been part of this organizational parade for many, many, many years. And certainly we thank them for their participation again this year. Little ones to senior citizens. It's great to see the importance of reading. Behind them comes the Lieutenant or Congress for Molly Gray for Congress. Molly Gray is our Lieutenant Governor and has made the decision to run. And so many of her people are parading this year. So again, we thank her for her participation in today's parade. She's leading she's stopping to shake hands with many of the children. Either shaking their hands or giving them a fist bump. And behind is the Rotary Club. And again, the Rotary Club and its float, passing out small little American flags, and something else, I can't quite see what it is, but obviously with the reaction of the kids, they're enjoying whatever it is that they're getting from this. But Rotary International organization, service organization, that does such an amount of good, not simply for our local community, but all over the world. You'll see on the one of their hallmarks is to end polio, and this is something that they have actively participated in, as well as on all of the banners that you have all of the different organizational things that they take active participation in. And so we thank them. We thank them for the service that they do. And again, if you're interested, get hold of them. Followed by the Addison County Republicans. And led by people that are active in their organization. John Cristano, who's running for Vermont House, is followed by a little Jeep festooned with the American flags. You see kids running all over the place to collect the candy. And I think the kids that throw it are having as much fun as the kids that get it. Followed by Weybridge, again, one of our sister towns that works in conjunction with Middlebury on when we have large-scale fires. They all work together as one, with many of their leaders of their organization as well as one of their fire trucks. And again, they're always looking for new members. Please consider it. Cub Scouts. This is Pack 536. Cub Master is Heidi Wilhelm. And they're carrying their troop flag, the American flag, as well as passing out candy, I think. Not sure, but by the looks of things, I see balloons flying all over the place too, and bubbles. So we thank them for participating in this. Great organization for young people to belong to. And I'm sure you can hear that the bagpipers that have become such an important part of this. It's the San Andrews Pipe Band, Andre Lachance, who was in charge of this. They've been a part of this parade for many, many, many years, and we thank them for their participation. They bring a little piece of Scotland to Vermont. Their festive kilts and the bagpipes. MCTV has a float. Kurt Broderson is on the back end of it. The float is on a Mid-State Towing Company truck. But again, please contact Kurt if you're at all interested in volunteering your services. And he is always open to finding new people. And on the back of this, you can see as he's going by that we're all on TV. Followed by Bridport Fire Department 1949 fire truck, as well as their number 2 engine. Chris Gordon is the driver. But 1949, along with a gorgeous Dalmatian, how apropos to see a fire department with their Dalmatian. The 1949 is a Ford fire truck, and I think it's amazing when you think of looking at that truck for 1949, and then you'll see some coming up soon. The difference in size, the difference in ability of fighting fires, and certainly the difference in price. Engine 2 for Bridport is a multi-faceted fire truck, and you'll notice on the side it lists, again, fire and rescue. And again, these are all fire companies that work in conjunction with everyone else. We live in a rural community. When there's a large, devastating fire, they all work as one. And again, I can't emphasize enough the need for volunteers on these organizations. All we have to do is look around the state of Vermont and see close up how many towns are being threatened by the loss of either fire, ambulance, or police. So if you have any interest whatsoever, please contact your local fire department. And then their Bridport's engine number 2 is followed by something they call Big Splash. And Big Splash in Bridport is a tank truck. All of us need to remember that many of our communities do not have hydrants, and they're reliant upon having to have ponds or these large tank trucks. And as a result, there's one of them right there that many times is used for fires. Next is the Shriner Cairo Tempo. This is the Legion of Honor, the flags, and the 2 Jeeps. Joe Rigg is driving one of them. It's all the branches of our service, as well as you'll notice the lovely Jeep has a bell in the front, and it's followed by all of the little Cairo Northern Clowns. And when you look at the way they buzz all over town, the way they go flying around, one can only imagine that they're having as much fun as the fun that they bring. But we also need to remember how much good they bring to all people with the funds they raise to help children and other organizations. So we thank them for their participation. We thank them for all they do. Hannaford's has become a part of the parade each year. It's the Career Center, and Hannaford Grocery Store sponsors this, and very involved in the food. Middlebury Festival on the Green, which hopefully this year will be back to sort of normal. Programs are being passed out. People seem excited about it. So I think that perhaps we may be back closer to being normal. Addison County Democrats follow very closely behind. And again, you'll see that they celebrate and support servicemen and women. Fairly large group of people for their party, with flags and different individuals running for different offices, positions. It's democracy in action. It's always fun to see that they know some of these people as they're marching by and how they stop and say a few words or chat or at least acknowledge each other. Large contingency of people this year. In fact, I think it's probably so far the largest groups that we've had come through this parade. Isaac Evans France, who's running for Senate, shaking hands and making people happy. The next are the Silver Hooves. It's a Middlebury 4-H group. Ashley Audette is the one you would contact if at all interested. And of course, they're throwing out candy as well, so that puts smiles on everybody's faces. But again, an organization for young people, which is so, so important. Followed by the fire truck that I was describing. This is our brand new one. It just went into existence, or operation, a couple of weeks ago. When you compare that one to the Bridport 1952 that went by, or 59, whatever it was, it's amazing what you buy for just shy of $700,000. And that's what this truck is. It's the latest of technology, and when you look at the size of it, it is amazing that in operation, fire service has gotten to the need of equipment like this. But again, we're very appreciative to the job that they do. It's amazing. This truck has airbags, both front and rear of the cab. And again, you can't see it, but one of the things that now is needed is a light tower that comes up from the top of the truck and extends out. And it has 112,000 lumens. Something that is vitally important when fighting a fire at night. We thank the Middlebury Fire Department for their service to the community. Certainly for Middlebury. Led by David Shaw, Chief, followed by Rick Cole, retired Chief, and both men and women that belong to this, as well as college students during the academic year. They have college students that are a vital part of this organization. And then it's followed by the ladder truck. And the ladder truck, again, just for your information, was brand new in 2018. And it has a ladder that has a reach on it of about 111 feet. And again, amazing that we now have buildings that we require that kind of size. But the ladder truck, again, if my memory serves me correct, was something like $800,000 or $900,000. So quite a difference in price compared to when you saw the 1952 from Bridport. And coming around the corner now, you start to see and hear fifes, drums, and Fife and Drum Corps, again, part of this organization for many, many years. Very well regimented group. From Underhill, Vermont. And then followed by Veterans for Peace organization. Proponent that peace is a necessity. Many of these people give of their time to stand in the park on weekends and promote peace, holding signs of promotion of peace. Followed by a contingency from Eastview, the adult living community, and it's followed by some kind of an antique car. I'm trying to see what it is and I can't quite make it out, but I think it's from part of Eastview, because the gentlemen that are driving it, it's a Dodge. I can finally see the name. It's an old Dodge. Great old car. Followed by some other convertibles that are coming through. Again, we're presuming it's part of the Eastview, but I'm not sure. The children are certainly enjoying this because they're getting tossed something, and then when they catch it, the smiles on their faces. And with all the extra sirens, I don't know if that's part of the parade or if that's an ambulance having to try to get through, but we'll soon find out, I'm sure, because the parade has slowed up, so perhaps it is something that is more of an emergency level. But I'm sure we'll find out in a second. All of these convertibles were still part of Eastview. So certainly, all of the cars, the bus, everything, we thank them for their participation. In the cars are obviously veterans from the different wars and who are residents. And followed very closely by the Middlebury Amateur Hockey Association. And guess what? Here's the Zamboni. An organization that takes in a lot of activity and children. Just wondering how much ice they picked up today on their way through here. But again, you can see by the size of the organization how many young people take part in this. Middlebury Tigers, the state champions for 2022. Followed by the Middlebury Lions Club, again, a service organization that always is looking for more people to participate, but that does such good for our entire community. Everything they raise goes to the betterment of our community. And they're passing out, it looks to be necklaces. So, anyways, the kids are obviously having fun collecting that. But again, we thank the Lions Club and we thank them for their participation, for everything they do for us. Followed by the car for MVTK and local radio station 92.1. And Cornwall Fire Department. This is engine number 1. I thought I probably would have who was driving it, but I can't quite tell. But anyways, it looked to be Peter Conlon, but I'm not sure. But again, sister community, great equipment, always ready to help. And again, please, I throw out a plug for them as well. It's amazing the difference in size of equipment, followed by the town of Shoreham and their fire truck. They obviously like the sirens, but again, kids are up on the top of that Shoreham fire truck throwing out candy. They appear to have as much fun as everybody. Make-A-Wish is behind them, an organization that gives so much to those individuals, those children who have so little. But we thank them for their participation, even though they're squirting people today. But again, I throw out a plug for all of our local fire departments that they are in desperate need of members. Many of their members, have been part of their organizations for many, many years. But like all of us, we get old and we can't quite do what we did. And so we need younger members. So I throw out a plug for all of our area, fire and ambulance and police. Salisbury follows it up with their engine number 1, as well as their utility truck. And one realizes in a hurry the level of fire apparatus and equipment that we now have. Well, I'm sure you can hear it. This is the future farmer, the Vermont Ffa. Pulled on a nice farm tractor, John Deere, with an organization of young people that are promoting farming. Something that in Addison County is an integral part of our life. Followed by an antique pickup, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's adorable. It looks to be a Ford, but I'm not 100% certain. But been restored beautifully. Then followed by a 1957 Dodge pickup from the Wagner farm. Again, restored beautifully. And a 1950, I think it's a 53, John Deere tractor. And then a beautiful horse-drawn carriage with horse I don't know, I don't think that's Pat Palmer, but I'm not sure. But certainly a magnificent piece of antiquity. Brought up at the end by, again, one of MREM's ambulances. And as well as the promotion behind that of MREM's, that you can get the free COVID vaccine if you need to. It's always available. Just call and go out. By the heavy rescue. Fortunate that we, in our ambulance service, highly unusual, but we have a heavy rescue part of the ambulance service. Most organizations don't have that. They have it through their fire department, but ours is held by the Ambulance Association. And so again, we thank them for their services. Now that would appear at this point then to be the end of our parade, since what's now coming through is a gigantic milk truck. And I would doubt that that's part of the parade. So again, and people are starting to move, so I'm going to make the presumption that that is it. And this is Kevin Parizo, again thanking all of you for being with us this morning. I wish all of you and your families certainly a lovely Memorial Day. Again, I wish to acknowledge and thank all of the people from MCTV who were able to bring this to you. And again, my best wishes for Memorial Day. Thank you so much.